Hey guys, Michael Merula here. Many of you like the way I design my ancient and medieval warrior characters, and I am very happy with your comments. And this is why I decide to describe in this video how to create realistic character designs. Basically, it's very simple, but you need to keep a few key points in the mind. The first point is keep it down to the earth, keep it realistic. Weapons and armor must be functional. We all love cool ideas, but armor from Warcraft or swords from Berserk are impractical. One of the reasons we all love Lord of the Rings or Song of Ice and Fire is that even though it's high fantasy in non-existent world full of magic and dragons, the world works just like ours and people use armor and weapons from our history. This helps us identify with characters because we know they are ordinary people. So when you start designing your characters or warriors, take a look at our history first. My younger years were spent reenacting history, whatever it was Gothic, Renaissance or Napoleonic Wars. So I have some little hands-on experience with how weapons, armor and battles worked. From the beginning of the time to early modern warfare, the basic weapon was the spear in any form. We can say that even musket with bayonet was spear. But we will focus primarily on antiquity and the early Middle Ages. Imagine the character you are designing as yourself, and since you are an ordinary farmer who has to arm himself, this is how you will proceed. So you have a spear, and since you are fighting in formation against other guys with spears, you need a shield to protect you. If you have enough money, the first thing you buy after a shield is helmet, because blow to the head is usually fatal. And because you are worried about your beautiful face, get a helmet with cheek guards. And if you are more wealthy and fight on the front line, what do you buy? That's right, armor. Armor must protect vital organs. There are many types of armor, such as the front breastplate, kiras, also called in old books as turtle or muscle armor. Full body plate armor known since the Mycenaeans of the Bronze Age, or the chainmail invented by the Celts. When you can't afford to buy metal armor, you use cloth sewn together. Leather armor was essentially non-existent and we have no archaeological findings for it. The leather was expensive and was mostly used to cover shields. So-called linothorax was classic Greek armor made of layers of cloth and reinforced with bronze plates or scales. And since the usual shield shape protects you from chin to mid-thigh, you need to protect your legs with greaves or shin guards. So now you are armed for ancient battle, but what if your spear breaks or you are fighting in the tight space? You need a short sword, as the Romans used very effectively. In the writings of the Gallic War, Caesar mentions how long Celtic swords were impractical in the close combat and often bent. In the early Middle Ages and the Viking Age, the Saxon knife called the sax was very popular, and it was used in the shield wall combat. Axes were also accessible weapons and good for hooking enemy shields, and thus exposing enemy for the fatal blow. Speaking of Vikings, we all know they didn't use horn on their helmets, but other peoples, especially the Asian ones. On the one hand, it was symbol, a warning. If you put plume on your helmet, it wasn't to look good, but to make you look taller. Battles were primarily psychological clash. Many battles have been won before armies have clashed arms. These who maintained their collective morale won even over the much larger enemy. If you are well trained, fed, armed, have faith in your commander and comrades by your side, and generally feel good, then you will win. Battles were never one-on-one, but clash of the formations, and if the guy with 3 meter spear was standing a block away from you, it doesn't mean he couldn't kill you because you are fencing with other guy. On side note, in many battles there were only small casualties during the actual battle itself, but when the formations broke up and cavalry chased you until the dark, that's when the carnage happened. I could go on and on about Asian warfare, but we need to focus on our fantasy character designs. So we anchored our warrior in the history. He's real and functional. Now comes another key point. Don't overdo it. The biggest problem I had was designing the Atlanteans for my fantasy The Unknown World. It took me over 2 years to design them relatively realistically, and for a reason because I could go route of total fantasy or be inspired by, for example, the sea people migration of the Bronze Age. When I created them as realistic as possible, I thought more about the environment and lore where they live. Since the Atlanteans are sea nation and advanced military superpower in Unknown World, it was clear that I wanted to use this information as jumping off point. I already talked this in last video, so check it out. I'm sure I have missed a lot of other information, but hopefully I have given you some new ideas. I'm currently working on the illustration of the Battle of Argos for my story from Unknown World. I will share a new video where I will show you all the Bronze Age warriors and armies from that time period. If you like the video, give it thumbs up and subscribe for more character designs, world building and illustrations. Tell me your ideas and thoughts. Thank you for your lovely comments and support, especially thanks to Gerard and Simon, my patrons. If you want to support me and my work, join my Patreon, and I also do custom paintings and commissions and would love to create something for you. Today's time are uncertain. These videos and all my paintings take a long time to make. Thank you for your patience, and I would really appreciate your help. I love you all, and see you next time.